Greetings, fellow escapers. I'm back with some more Escape from Tarkov, and today I'd like to talk to you about the future of Escape from Tarkov. Where's it heading? What's the plans for 2018? And what did I see change in all this time? Because I've been playing the game for just about 13, almost 14 months now, so it's a year and a little bit that I've been playing the game, and I've seen a lot of changes. Some of the things were good, some of the things were bad. And, I mean, I'm not going to go through every single bit of information that we had in the past year because it's going to be way too much of it. But overall, what do we see happening in 2018? Now that we have a proper roadmap and we have a general idea when things should be coming out, don't take this literally because they are about 4 or 5 months behind on schedule. I mean, the game was supposed to, the open beta was supposed to come out at the end of the year. The hideout was supposed to come out at the end of the year. It doesn't look like the hideout's coming till at least summer, maybe even autumn or winter of 2018. So they are behind on quite a lot of things. And priority number one, as always, it's always going to be performance, netcode, that sort of stuff, lag, desync. That thing needs to be eliminated as soon as possible. But we can still look to the future to see what's going to happen and when it could possibly be happening in 2018. So one of the first things, obviously, priority is optimizing game performance. We have introduced a new additional means of optimizing locations. For example, the new interchange location is done with a full employment of the new methods, and after its release we'll be sure to optimize the old maps as well. In general, we can say with confidence that there will be a considerable potential for optimization. So that's only a good thing. I mean, we always know that they've mentioned the Unity engine upgrade that probably is going to happen in the summer. It's not going to happen straight away, so probably you're not going to see it in the first patch or the next patch, but as soon as we get interchange, that's going to have it. And then we'll see how interchange runs, and if interchange runs nice and smooth, then we know they can actually do that to woods, customs, shoreline. Because I'd love to play shoreline, but as most of you do these days, you don't really, because it's just up and down all the time on FPS. It's 20, 40, 30, and it's just not playable. It's just not reliable, really, so I can't really play it too much. So we kind of stuck to the old favorites, woods, customs, and a little bit of factory. And for me, factory is not something that I play every day. It's probably something I'll hop into maybe once a month. The only reason I came into Factory today because about a year and a bit ago, which was February 15th, 17th or something like that, my first ever video on Escape from Tarkov was in the Factory, so I figured why not a year later, well, a bit more than a year, but a year later I'll come back to it and revisit it and see how I play. And I actually watched a little bit of old footage to see what the priority was, what did I talk about, what kind of things was I interested back then. And funnily enough, I've watched about 4 or 5 of them. Not once did I mention anything about performance or netcode or lag. So I think because there was less people playing in the alpha and the servers were a bit more stable and it was a bit harder for you to run into the issues that you run today. You know, every time there's a patch, updates, errors, and you can't log in, you can't play because there's a surge of people coming in. We don't really face that many issues back in the day. I mean, you got to remember that the alpha actually got released on August 2016. Yes, 2016, and then the beta got released a year later at the end of July of 2017. I think it was 27th of July when it got released. So it took them about a year to move from closed alpha to closed beta, and hopefully open beta should be, well, if things are right, they should be about June, July at some point this year. Now, what else can we look forward to when it comes to Escape from Tarkov? Time-consuming magazine loading. That's something that they're mentioning. This feature has already been implemented. When it raid, you will not be able to instantly load the magazine with cartridges. Loading every single cartridge will take time, and it can only be done in the inventory. Some goes for unloading the ammo from the mag. So this is going to be pretty cool. There's not going to be just, oh, I just dropped 60 bullets into a mag, reload, start blasting again. That's going to make the gameplay a hell of a lot different, and it's going to change how you sort of go in, because you can't just, okay, I'll just take an extra mag with me, that's cool. But now you might have to take 2, 3 mags with you, so you can always rely on that reload, because you might not have the time to actually do the manual reloads that you need to do. And I think that's going to be pretty cool. Next on the order of business is animations for medical supplies, food, and other consumables. Such items are now used in the background while you can keep firing, which is, of course, absolutely not realistic. In the future, you'll not be able to use weapons while getting treatment or eating. So that's kind of the beginning of that happening. I mean, let's just look at DayZ, for example. Remember when we used to bandage? Well, you couldn't really do anything while you bandaging. All you could do is like wiggle. and that was pretty much it. So I guess that's a good way for him to go. Off-raid treatment and recovery, I think that's going to be a big and important thing, because all of a sudden you came out of the raid, boom, just like that, you automatically healed of everything and you just go back into the raid. I think by you coming out of the raid with broken legs and broken arms and things like that, you know, everything sort of black, then you're going to have to spend another car kit or another IFAK or another bit of medicine, a couple of cheeses or whatever you're going to use to restore your PMC back to full health, make sure you treat him well, and then get him back into the raid. That will cost money, and that will put a strain on the economy a little bit, because you're having to spend quite a little bit of money on just making sure that you're good to go before you go back into raid, and I think that's going to be a pretty cool thing. Smoke grenades, you got to remember those. They got teased back in November, I believe it was, on Twitter, so it took them about 4 or 5 months now to actually get going. Under-barrel grenade launchers, I see that as a bit of a spam fest, but I think it could work. I think it's going to be cool. I mean, imagine Factory and everybody just bombing the shit out of it. I think that's going to be pretty cool. Troubleshooting, dealing with jamming, misfires, ammo quality, all that sort of stuff, that's going to be in. Improvement of medical supplies, stimulants, addiction, overdose, and side effects of medicine. Stimulants will be sold by the therapist and will improve your skills, even beyond the maximum level for a limited time. Beware of side effects though, so who knows what kind of stuff it's going to be implemented when it comes to skills, soft skills, that sort of stuff. I mean, we could only just speculate at this time. Ongoing introduction of new skills, in particular faction-specific skills that will be available on only 2 particular PMCs. We know those, they're already in there, so we can see some of those. We are now actively adding new PvE enemies, scav bosses, each with unique appearance, gear and behavior. Every scav boss will be surrounded by a couple of other scavs who will fiercely try to defend their chief. Now I think that's going to be pretty awesome, because somebody did ask a question and said, well, can we have a chance or maybe a possibility of us actually spawning as a scav boss? And it said yes. So maybe as a scav boss, you know, you spawn in different clothing, maybe fort armor, maybe fast helmet, maybe a better gun, maybe something really cool. So it's worth you to go in to try and spawn as a scav, because right now playing as a scav is pretty much pointless. There's not much going on. You spawn in too late. There's not going to be much action going on. Most of the PMCs have kind of gone. You can maybe still get a little bit of action from time to time, and I did. You still run into the old sort of squad here and there. They've not gone out with the first 10-20 minutes and they're still sort of staying around and looting. You might catch them off guard or something and you still can score yourself some loot, but 8 out of 10 times, I'd say, as a scav, I'll end up just going around looting, not really worrying about anything else. Maybe another fellow scav. Say no to scav violence today. Next thing that we're going to talk about is changing the character's appearance. Special service provided by traders will allow you to change the appearance of your character's upper and lower body parts. At this point, we have 5 sets of apparel preparations for each faction. Thanks to this, you'll have the opportunity to pick the camo and the adequate to particular task, daytime and terrain. I think that's going to be really cool to be able to sort of rock dark clothing, black clothing at night, green sort of camouflage thingies when you go on foresty maps. I think that's going to be a good thing for us to see in the future. New type of exits from locations. There will be locations with no permanent exits where you will need to use the flares to enable the extraction, thus attracting the attention of everybody in the vicinity. Pre-purchase special exits in advance before of the start of the raid. I think, again, that's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. Hideout, a huge feature that's going to be added. I mean, this got announced and I covered it in a video about sort of June of 2017. It's still nowhere near ready yet. It's probably not going to be done till the game gets released, or maybe after, or maybe just the beginning, but it doesn't look likely that something's going to be happening for at least another maybe 6 months or something. I hope I'm wrong, but I hope to see it before the end of the year. Arena, a separate game mode full of interesting innovations, competitive and exciting. Extensive coverage of the arena will be out later. Well, as long as the netcode and the desync and all that sort of stuff works, then we can talk about competitive, but for now we can't really do that since the netcode and the desync need a hell of a lot of work. And last but not least is locations that we wanted. After interchange, we're going to continue with the streets of Tarkov. On a parallel track, we'll start building an indoor location with the same CQB spirit as Factory, the Terra Group lab. So this year we're expected to finish all these locations necessary for release. So hopefully we'll see 3 maps this year, 3 locations this year, instead of 1 that we basically saw in 2017, which was half of Shoreline, and half of Shoreline got released actually this year, so technically we only saw half a map released in 2017. That being said, obviously I'm excited for a lot of these things. I'm going to keep going, keep playing, keep having fun with it. I know content's a bit sort of slow out there, and they're not the best of getting content out every month. Sometimes it takes them 2-3 months to get some decent stuff out, but all we can do is wait and see how things go from here on. I mean, I do need to see a lot of changes in the beginning. You know, the most important ones we've already covered is the lag and the desync and the netcode and that sort of stuff, and then performance, because if we can't play the game properly, we can't test the game properly, and nobody wants to get into a game where I can't play it because I'm struggling at a performance. That's it for me. You'll have to let me know some of the things that you're excited to see in 2018 Escape from Tarkov. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, post a comment, and I'll see you in the next one.